person on time is sitting here right here in the studio with us. It is 2 p.m. Eastern time out there in America. It is 8 Europe in Europe. 8 p.m. in Europe. I mean, like 20 p.m. Some people say it's 20 o'clock. And we have 8 p.m. on the continent in East Africa. We also have 7 p.m., in Central Africa. So we have a different times. But out there where Reverend Philip Shocks Matthios is sitting, it's just 11 a.m. Am I right, Reverend?
That is correct.
Correct.
That is correct.
We are so delighted to have the special guest in our studio live, connecting from the state to talk to us on the continent and in the diaspora. It is a wonderful pleasure, a blessing, and an extraordinary, thing to have Reverend Philip Shocks Matthios sitting right here in studio and talking to me. Because this is the moment I have dreamt of in my life. I watch his shows on the TPM show, TV. I see all the massive, big, huge audience and guests he's been talking to. And I just dream one day that I would even, not be in talking to him, that I would even just, maybe, just maybe that he had heard about me. Now,
Absolutely.
if you don't believe in miracles, people, I believe in one, because sitting here and talking to the Marcus Garveys of our time, it is an awesome blessing and a time and the right time to be here. 17 books out there, and currently the 18 on its way, and amongst all bestsellers. Who does that and still looks young? Who does that? Leaving 6 a.m. in the morning, I called his phone and he was rushing to a seminar that has been so successful today. And on time, he was here for the testing. He's just sitting there, right, relaxed. And when I asked, what makes it so special? He said, I got a haircut for you. Wow. Now, if you don't believe that things happen, if you were still not sure that this metaphysical being that is sitting here, composing of everything, like I told you, he knows everything. I don't know. The God of creation, the Most High,
yes.
And the universe knows everything. But we also know that we're in partnership with him, and he made us to be in the same image and structure and things and share opinions and even negotiate with him. So there are some beings that actually know, absolutely some things that some of us are not given. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is one of them. Reverend, are you reverend from theological point of view, or reverend? Why?
Reverend in metaphysical science and philosophy. And so I got my bachelor's, I have my master's, I just finished, did my master's, and now I'm working on my doctorate in the same field. And I just want to say, Dr. Tata, I have followed your work and followed your show. I had already subscribed. I had for at least a year that I have known of you, and I watch your work, and you're absolutely phenomenal what you're doing for the community around the world. And so I'm looking at you and saying, oh my God, I'm on Dr. Tata's show. And this is just such an honor and such a big deal. And I'm just humbled by your presence. And you look amazing. And I think it's your son Toomey who's doing all the back end stuff, and that was wonderful. And the sound check, just an absolute high quality, and I just love it. And so thank you so much for this honor.
Wow. How did it all start? Let me just did you just have a passion to do metaphysics, or you just grew up and begin to see yourself doing the things or earning these degrees and just evolving? I don't even think it's the degrees that you're earning. It's just you.
Yeah, well, I was introduced to metaphysics at age 10 when my mom, who was given 3 months to live, started attending a church in Chicago by the Reverend, called Christ Universal Temple, headed by the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman and Reverend Dr. Helen Carey. So I was 10 years old. I'm 55 now. Just had a birthday on the 14th of November. So for
Oh,
45 years, I've been in metaphysics. And so as I grew up going through all of my problems, challenges, I began to start interviewing and talking to leading thought leaders around the world and change agents, and I just began to morph. And I was what Dr. Oba Shishaka refers to as assimilated. I was going through racism, but I didn't really quite understand what was happening to me. And as a result, I literally traveled the world speaking and doing sermons and trainings and writing books. And then my life really began to change probably about 10 years or so ago when I got a book by Dr. Joy DeGruy, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And that was the lock that started me on taking all of the metaphysical learnings and teachings that I had amassed over the years and started to Africanize it. And so I took a really deep dive. And as I did so, and I really started talking to all of these scholars who were literal experts in Africa, on Africa, in every aspect of Africa, I came to a conclusion that nothing is wrong with Black people. Something happened to Black people. And as a result, I started to really take a deep dive into trauma. And so then I launched, as a result of going into ministry, I wanted to do a very unique ministry, one that had not been done before in the non-denominational community. And that was, I wanted to specialize in Black trauma and help Africans and African Americans in the diaspora understand nothing is wrong with us. This is what is happening to us and what we can do about it. Oh, I lost your sound. I can't hear you.
hello.
Oh, there we go. I can hear you now.
Yes, I think there was a small mistake. The title was still the title of yesterday, so Tumi was trying to put that in order. Yeah,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I think something that you said, and that's what is just breaking me right now. Like you said, you figure out that nothing is wrong with us.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
When we look at, so I go back, if I may go into my story here and my research. When I look at all of this quote unquote mental illness in Black people, and when I look at Africa, the consciousness, I call it the consciousness before the conflict, before what we call the Amu, what we refer to as second frequency Europeans, before they came out of the caves, we mastered all sciences. We populated the entire planet. We built civilizations. We built architecture that still to this day cannot be duplicated or replicated. We mastered medicine. We mastered psychology. We mastered spirituality before religion. Shout out to my mentor, Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene. We mapped the stars. We were the unequivocal as above, so below. We mastered quantum physics. We mastered astrophysics, which sent us on this metaphysical journey. And when I realized who we were, and then I went into the theological, cosmic, if you will, aspect of this. Mm-hmm. I had to look at that, and I had to ask people the question: would the Creator, when it wanted to replicate, duplicate itself, and be in human form, it created first the African, which is where we get the term first frequency. And so the Creator, by default, naturally would create the most venerable, the most durable, the most undefeatable species and iteration of itself, because we are made in the image and likeness of what the Dogon refers to as Amma, which is here we call God. So when we look at God or the Creator, well, God, the Creator, Amma, is Black, is African. And so we are the mothers, the fathers, the originators of all creation. Every a level of humanity that comes after that is what we would refer to as second frequency. So we refer to the European as a second frequency due to what happened to them in the ice for 100,000, 100,000, 300 years. But going back to the creator creating its multiple creations, which is us, that it took 1,000,000 years of this divine evolutionary perfection to create the most beautiful, most undefeatable, resilient species we call humans in all of the world's history. And so when you look at what has happened to us in the Ma'afa, the Black Holocaust, you look at and ask the question, we have experienced a great, tremendous deal of trauma, but we're still here.
Correct.
No other species of human, no other ethnicity has been able to survive but us. So we have to understand that we are gods and goddesses having a human experience, having a Ma'afa experience. And so I really want my family, my community, my mother Africa, and my brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers on the continent to understand that you are the best of the best because you come from this divine cosmic energy of blackness. Dr. Sebi used to always talk about before you can talk about melanin, you have to talk about carbon. And so everything comes from dark matter, dark energy, the waters of none. We have to understand that we are birthed for 9 months of gestation in the waters of none, in the black cosmic womb. And so we have literally been traumatized to the point where we have forgotten who we are, where we come from, and the power we actually have. And so when we hear the Amu or second frequency Europeans talk about, you've got to go towards the light and you've got to manifest in the light. No. See, they've made us afraid of the dark because that's where we come from. We mastered all science. The Dogon literally mapped out the stars that we're seeing 200 years later that the Hubble telescope was able to see, but we already had that on lock. You have to understand dark matter and dark energy is who we are. That's the realm of manifestation. That's the realm of divine perfection. That is the realm where we manifest our reality, manifest what it is we want, and then we demonstrate it in the light. So when we turn on the light, as Dr. Wade Nobles would say, when we turn on the light, then the darkness knows what to do.
Wow. I'm just sitting here and thinking, is everyone out there getting the frequency like I feel here in studio? I just want to welcome all of you that are joining the show. Please, this is a very special revelation. We've been hearing this. We heard it from Kojo. The shock when we came out, we forgot. Now, and the question is like, Reverend, how we get the shock, we forget, and then?
Well, we get the shock and we forget. So I talked about this yesterday on the Hoppy Talks.
Yes.
So what happened to the African? How did we get in this situation, right? So we know, the technical, historical aspect, but let's get into the spiritual. Let's get into the genetics, quantum physical aspect of this. The African, we were born on the equator. We are children of the sun. We are divine perfection. We are the best of the creator. We are the first children of the creator. We are the favorite children of the creator and the most loved. And so as a result, we did not want for anything. From the farmer to the Purah or to the Pharaoh, everyone was wealthy because whatever we wanted was already there. Everything manifested for us. There was no lack, no limitation whatsoever. And because we mastered all science, we had no fear. There was no trauma We had never even experienced trauma. What was that? We had no concept of trauma. And so when the Amu came out of the caves, it was the first time that we became genetically encoded with trauma. We weren't afraid of lions, tigers, bears. We mastered all of that. In fact, I was looking at a photo the other day of 1900s where Senegalese masters were literally riding lions and tigers. They were riding them like horses. We had no fear. We had no fear. In fact, I will challenge you that not only did we not have fear and we mastered all science, that we did not have nightmares because we never had trauma. There's nothing written on the walls in Kemet. I use Kemet because I don't use the word Egypt. That's the term. It's Kemet. And there's no Middle East. It's Africa. So if anybody else is watching, so you know, we didn't have nightmares. We all of a sudden came into this trauma for the first time. So we were not genetically encoded to handle the level of torture and terror that was thrusted upon us that we had never seen before. Sure, we had our tribal fights. We had our I wouldn't even consider it wars, but we had our tribal fights. We did not engage in chattel slavery. We engaged in indentured servitude, if you will. As a result, Dr. Tata, we have to understand that because we weren't genetically encoded with trauma, when we experienced that for the first time, there are 4 trauma responses. Most people know of fight, flight, and freeze, but the 4th trauma response is annihilation. And what happened to us in many respects is we froze. We never experienced anything this hideous, this heinous, this immoral, because we were under the laws of Ma'at. Hate was never genetically encoded in us. We might have disliked people, we might have envied people, we might have been jealous, but there is no encoding of hate in Black bodies. It's absolutely impossible. This is why we are loving people. And when you understand the science and work of Dr. Edwin Nichols for the last 55 years, when he developed the process of the philosophical aspects of cultural differences, axiology is the study of the human values, of how the environment shapes our human values. Well, our human values are person to person, people to people. We're a family people. But when you come into the ice and you're in the ice for breeding and copulating and generating for so many generations, I think that if we look at 100,300 years, we're probably looking at somewhere around 44,123 generations for the African to literally turn inside out and become the anti-African and the antithesis of an African. And so when they came out of the caves, the environment always was trying to kill them. So their aspect and understanding of God, they didn't have it. This is why their pineal gland froze. As a result of that freezing, they couldn't access what we call first frequency. They couldn't access the African Ma'at. They couldn't access that goddess. As a result, they had to make it up. So, of course, the Moors, they came, we helped them because we're people to people. But the ice made them person to the object. They had to capture the resources. They only had 3 months in any given time to grow a crop. If they did not have, if they missed that time frame within the ice, they ended up having to eat their young or their elderly. That is the genesis of cannibalism and the concept of Dracula. So when they came out, these were barbaric people with no spiritual system. And as a result, we taught them. We taught them how to eat. We taught them how to clean. They were living with their animals in the feces. And we civilized them, if you will. Then they turned because they don't have that access to first frequency. This is why they had to create a false deity. I call them, here in the continent, I refer to it as the 3 white boys. So the first white boy is the white boy on the boat. That's Columbus. The second is the white boy on the stick, which is Jesus. And the third is the white boy in the sky, which is they call God. That has nothing to do with us. That is not our deities. That is not us. In fact, they spend, the Amu, $10 billion a year, 10 billion, to seek and find God. There's a thing in Switzerland called the CERN's accelerator, where they smash protons and positrons and neutrons together, these subatomic particles. They smash them together at high speeds, looking for God, or what they call the God particle, known as the Higgs boson. So look at this. They spend $10 billion a year trying to find God. And all we have to do is look in the mirror or take a selfie, because we are God and goddesses. So you have to understand that we're dealing with a people that are born in and out of trauma. So we were never genetically encoded to handle that level of trauma, because it goes against everything that we are. I did an interview on my show about 5 years ago with Dr. Luann Brizendine, who is a neuro scientist and works not far from here in San Francisco, California. She wrote 2 best-selling books, The Female Brain and The Male Brain. And I asked her the question. I said, Dr. Brizendine, is it possible for hate to be hardwired in the brain? Now, of course, I'm assuming she said, oh, absolutely not. These things cannot be hardwired. Guess what she said? She says, absolutely it can. Wow, really? So hate can be hardwired in the brain. And when we talk about the concept of genetic memory, epigenetics, how certain memories and behaviors are genetically transferred generation to generation, we're looking at a generation from the ice that perfected hate. Before they even came to this continent, they applied this torture on their own people and their own women. It was called the Dark Ages. We're dealing with psychopathic, sociopathic, narcissistic species that we must be very, very careful of accepting and doing the same thing that we did before, where we accepted them, we helped them, we aided them, we built them, and then they're going to turn. And it's nothing we can do about that. We must protect ourselves. And so my job, my assignment, you know, I tell people, when God gives you your when you find your purpose, God will give you your assignment. My assignment is to wake us up, help us understand what happened to us. Nothing's wrong with us. This is what's going on, and here's what we can do about it. So when we understand that this Amu, this second frequency, this European concept is the antithesis of the greatness of an African and the greatness of Africa, it is time now for us to take our rightful seat back on the world stage in the entire world, because wherever there is an African on whatever continent, it is Mother Africa, and that is the entire earth. This is our planet. This is our life. This is who we are, because we come directly. We are the direct and first descendants of the creator of Amma.
Whew. It's fact. It is fact, because I keep questioning myself. When you're on the continent, particularly anywhere, not even only from the village setup to the communities or the townships, and you relocate into Europe or into the West or wherever you leave the continent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's strange. There's a kind of something that gives you a feeling that you are just not available where you're supposed to be. You're just not there. And that's why it is so difficult for us Africans to understand when they say Africa is poor, when they say we are miserable people, when they put all the stigmatization on us. You know, I think, and even force the trauma on us, and even tell us that we, you know, and then we also start accepting and like, yes, you know, we've been through all this, and so now we are not acting right.
Exactly. That is So let me go into what I call the four traumas, because I think it's important. I repeat this all the time whenever I'm on platforms of your ilk, because I really want the family to understand. Again, nothing's wrong
Mhm.
with you. Here's what's happened to you. So there's four genetic traumas that four traumas that I have ascertained and looked at and said, okay, what happened to us and how is trauma? Trauma is stored in the body. It's not stored in the mind. It's stored and held and housed and contained in the body. Genetic trauma is known as epigenetics. It's the trauma, or genetic memory is another term. It's the trauma that ancestrally we come here with. It goes back 13 generations that they have been able to find, which is about 350 years if you put that into 25 years being a generation. So
Mhm.
genetic trauma, whatever the trauma our ancestors experience, is genetically encoded when mom and dad copulate and we come out. We come here with a certain trauma imprint. The
Mhm.
second type of trauma is decontextualized trauma. Decontextualized trauma has no time date, no time stamp, because it's decontextualized. You can't find when the trauma was imprinted because it came from the ancestral realm.
Mhm.
When the Ma'afa first happened to us, really the moment that they came out of the caves, the brutality, the rape, the murders, the castration, the literal eating of our bodies. They literally ate us because they felt that that it would give them strength and vitality. This barbaric, insane society. That trauma becomes decontextualized, and so we come here with it. When we start to grow up and evolve and move into adulthood, we experience what's called the third trauma, which is vicarious trauma, vicarious or secondary trauma.
Mhm.
So I woke up on Memorial Day, I turned on my phone, and I saw this wretched beast putting his knee on the neck of George Floyd. And
Yes.
for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, I saw what all of us have seen, have felt, and have endured for 5,000 years, but at least
Mhm.
500 of those years in terms of this continent here. We saw the essence of hate. We saw the genesis of hate. We
Hmm.
saw the opposite of the African. We saw exactly what we have been experiencing and have been talking about and shouting, and no one was listening and no one heard us. We saw it. And in fact, they saw themselves in that data, in that moment, in that tragedy, in that murder. But here's the thing, that I was not there in Minnesota. I'm in California, but because I felt it, I couldn't sleep. I wept uncontrollably. That vicarious trauma, when we see our brethren being beaten, mutilated, killed, tortured, subjugated, marginalized, minimized in the world, wherever it may be, it triggers us because the trauma that's already inside of us that we came here with wakes up, and it causes us, as the young folks say, makes us feel some kind of way. And
Mhm.
so it causes a traumatic event. So that's called vicarious trauma. So then what happens, Dr. Tata, is that the fourth trauma is what's called ghosting trauma.
Mhm.
When we have those three traumas occurring, living, breathing inside of us for however many years we've been on the planet, all of a sudden, we start feeling like something's wrong with us. We
Mhm.
start feeling that maybe I don't deserve to be wealthy, healthy, and happy. So we start minimizing ourselves. We start shrinking our lives. We start sabotaging our relationships and our wealth, and we start to internalize and implode from that trauma, and we start harming ourselves, and we start harming each other. When I look at my brothers and sisters in Nigeria and on the continent fighting amongst themselves, you have to understand that is coming from the ancestral trauma, genetic trauma, decontextualized trauma. And because we do not have hate encoded in us, we fight among ourselves. We're never, ever, ever going to go outside of ourselves. We're not going to take over a country and genocide the indigenous population. We're not going to create Jim Crow laws that separate people. We're not going to create false racial constructs and identities called white people or Negroes and niggers and niggas. We don't do that. We're never going to go and shoot up schools and shoot up churches and kill children. That is not who we are, but it is who they are. And so as a result of this trauma, we internalize the trauma and we hurt ourselves and each other. Just here on this continent, as it's happening on your continent, that in these environments that we call the hood, Dr. Claude Anderson says when they take the neighbor out of it, it's called a hood. Now, it's not a neighborhood, it's a hood. When you create an axiological situation where you have to fight amongst yourselves for resources, you're not a neighbor, it's just a hood. And so in that situation, we kill each other. We have, there is no such thing as black on black crime. It's just absolute myth. It's about proximity. And so when the axiology of redlining and all the laws that cramped Black people in one community to fight for limited resources, we ended up harming each other. This is the lie that they're trying to tell us, that something's wrong with us. No. So this happened to us. And so we are not responsible, Dr. Tata, for what has happened to us. We're responsible for what we do about it. But this is not your fault. If you are in prison, if you're on drugs, if you are suffering in any shape, form, or fashion, it is not your fault. It was done to you, and you must understand that. Lift yourself up and go into your first frequency self. Reveal the fact that you are God. God is having a trauma experience. You are not faulty. There is no error in what the Creator created, and it decided to create the African first. We are the best of the best. We are the absolute 100% best example of the Most High. So we have to understand this. When we do so, we then can start to separate ourselves from the trauma and start to excavate and exorcise that trauma out of us, and we heal and become human, H-U-E, man, for the first time. Because we have been born into this ma'afa. We have been born into this trauma. We come in with a false racial construct, with a false racial identity, paying homage to the white boy on the boat, Columbus, who was too stupid to even realize that it wasn't India that he was in, it was America, but he called us Indians. And then we're dealing with some white boy on the stick and some white God in the sky. No, that's a lie. Christianity, religion, is what enslaved us. In order for white supremacy and colonialism to exist, there was no law enforcement back in that time. It was the Christian church that did all of the bidding and the torture and the punishment and the ill deeds to humanity. So that is not our God. That is not our image. We are made in the image and the likeness of the Most High, and that image is us. When you want to see God, Dr. Tata, pull your phone out and take a selfie. When you want to see a God, Tata, go in the bathroom and look in the mirror and see her, because it's you. You are Ma'at. You are the mother. You are the birth of all humanity. That is the code that is inside of you and each and every one of us.
It is a great day today on the Pan-African Daily TV, ladies and gentlemen. It is not enough for us to just exist. It is enough for us to profit from the knowledge of our researchers and experts that have been working on finding solutions to our very challenges and crises. Yes. And like Reverend Philip Shucks is saying, it is very obvious. And we see it in this other format when they tell us, no, you need to pray because you inherited sins from your ancestors. And we truly believe it. And now you're saying it's an internal trauma that we had. So you see the transition that we inherited from that. Now it goes back to blame the generation that has to come. So you are on a curse. And we start saying that we are on a curse.
No, let me break this down to you in a very real
Yeah.
way. The only people on this planet that is cursed are those that came out of the ice. The original people, us, can never be cursed. We can never be damned because we were first chosen to be here by the Creator. That is not accidental. And you must know what that means, that you are a child of God, a product of God, a walking, breathing God on earth. God does not make mistakes, but nature makes corrections. One of the problems that happened when they came out of the ice, they decided, rather than go back into the archetype of the dominant species on the planet, which is us, they decided to inbreed and create what Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene refers to as a mutation of a mutation. The first mutation was the ice, turning the African inside out. The second mutation is when they inbred with themselves. And as a result, this is science. It's called recessive genetics. We have the highest of all genetics. I can prove this on many, many levels. I want to use the example, Mae Jemison, the astronaut, when she went up in space, her assignment was to test to see who had the strongest bone density that could survive in space, because in space you have start to lack bone density. Well, guess what she discovered? Not to our surprise, she discovered it was the African female that had the strongest bones to survive in space. Again, supporting why wouldn't it make sense that the Creator would make us the most strong because it comes from the Creator? It created the earth for us to live in. Of course, it would create the physical organic form called us human to be able to master it and manifest and live in it. We are the strongest of the strong. That's why we're still here, Dr. Tata. That's why we're talking, we're damned, we're doomed. No, we're not. We're still here. They cannot kill us. We don't die. We multiply because we are gods. We are gods. We are the Christ consciousness walking. We went through a crucifixion. It is now time for our resurrection in knowledge. Understand the trauma that has happened to you. Understand that as the ice turned them inside out, they tried to turn us inside out against ourselves. And we have been living that lie ever since, and I'm just not having it. And so as a result of that, I want my family to know exactly who you are, particularly on the continent, because it's very important for us to go back, Sankofa, to come forward, to go back to come forward. It is imperative for us to teach our children who they are, where they come from, and where they can go, because they are the little gods and goddesses, princes and princesses, and kings and queens that are going to take this continent, take this planet back. Because here's what happens when you come out of the ice and you are genetically recessive. You move yourself off of the human chain. You end up becoming extinct. They have been fighting extinction. The African cannot become extinct as a species. Sure, we can have global things happen that causes the entire planet to go extinct. But the African, because we are gods and goddesses, we cannot go extinct. Recessively genetic, into anything recessively genetic, whether that's a recessively genetic ape, whether that's a recessively genetic plant, whether that's a recessively genetic tree, it dies. It has to go extinct because it's not original part of the original archetype. So this species is dying off. And it was dying off long before COVID. COVID has exacerbated it. And so here is the thing, Dr. Tata, and I really want you to, and the family to get this. The African suffers from genetic memory. The European suffers from genetic recessivity. We suffer from genetic memory can be changed in one generation. They cannot alter their genetics in time for them to evolve. They've only been here 5,000 years. We've been here, some say 1 million, but at least we can honestly say over 100,000 years. We've had a chance to evolve to become the living gods on earth. They have not had that opportunity to evolve. And as a result of their inbreeding, as a result of going against nature and Ma'at, the creator, is wiping them off of the planet. Our job is to get the hell out of the way. Because here's the thing. Have you ever did you ever, when you were a little girl, Dr. Tata, did your mama say, because it's one of the things we say in the States all the time, if Joey rides his bike off a cliff, are you going to ride your bike off a cliff with him? Right? Here's the thing. You heard that before? So here's the thing, fam, is that we cannot go off the cliff with Joey. But some of us, because of our trauma, we think that we don't even need a bike and we're on Joey's handlebars. So Joey is riding us off the cliff and I'm not going, and I'm trying to save as many lives as possible, because you are not going to die with your music still in you. This is our time. We must know the truth. This is the reason why I became a minister and took a deep dive into scholarship so that I can bring a truth to you that I would not have been able to bring, even though I've known this for 30 years. When you become, when you move into ministry and doctoral programs, you get access to deeper and a more elongated information. And when I discovered that we are born perfect, whole, and complete, we are then proselytized and groomed to be thugs, thots, bitches, hoes, Negroes, niggas, and all of these falsehoods. That is not who we are. That is not who you are. You have been taught to be the opposite of the creator. And so now it's time to come back home. Go back home to the original consciousness, the original spirituality of Mother Africa.
Yes. And so this is the time. And this is the time, because we are still like, what is happening during the period of COVID? Africans are getting consciousness, the world as a matter of fact, but particularly us. At certain points now, we're still realizing, vaccines maybe, it's not the right way, or I'm not going to take it, or stuff like that. Not only us, generally everybody, but I'm saying particularly. But we've been living through that, and nobody was questioning under the system, under the program. So what time, like we say, what time are we in right now? What time? Is it the time that, I don't know, some people say Christianity said 400 years is the time of our return, and, back to the promised land and stuff like that. How is the recession going to take place? How are we going to do that? By learning, by understanding who we are, or how?
Yeah. Well, the first was two things. One, knowing that you are first frequency, knowing that you are God. God is having a human experience, having a terroristic experience. Number two is removing yourself as much as you possibly can from the proximity of the Amu. And there is actual scientific peer-reviewed data on this. Dr. William A. Smith and Dr. Tommy J. Curry did the research. It's known as racial battle fatigue. Racial battle fatigue. And what they discovered, there were psychological and physiological symptoms of just being in constant proximity to the European. High blood pressure, backaches, headaches, nausea, insomnia, not being able to focus and concentrate, not be able to set goals, not be able to sequence, think our way out of situations. All of that is due to this virus that they emit. See, the original virus is the Amu. We mastered all other viruses because that's who we are, because we're gods and goddesses. Of course, we're going to master it because that's what we do. So the only virus that we need to be concerned about is second frequency Amu. Now, in this racial battle fatigue, one of my good brothers on the continent, Otieno Wawario, literally discovered that they omit second frequency. They omit an actual virus. They actually omit a frequency of subjugation and hate. It's actual science. This is why I wanted to, when I launched my ministry, I wanted my ministry not to be about self-esteem. I wanted it to be about science. And so this is not about self-esteem. This is about science. I'm not a preacher. I'm a teacher. And so I want all of us to be at the same level and understand what has happened to us. The second thing is that my goddess has been a nurse for over 40 years. And she told me of this concept called secondary syndrome. Secondary syndrome is when medical students in their second year start to come down with the symptoms of the diseases in which they are studying. This is understanding racial battle fatigue. The more we are in proximity to the European, the sicker we become. Again, we are not sick people. We are sick from being captured, corralled, and controlled by sick people. Nothing is wrong with us. Something happened to us. As a result, we must, one, spiritually go back home, reveal our first frequency to dissolve our trauma. Number two, we must learn how to economically support ourselves, which is what I teach around the world, doing teaching people affiliate marketing, digitalonomics, and all of that. We must not rely financially on the oppressors or the second frequency Amu, the colonizers, whatever you want to call them. And when there is enough of us, there is at least 4 billion of us globally on the planet. So you cannot tell me that there is not enough Black people for us to all literally become not just millionaires, but multi-millionaires if we have a process that we can put in place. And this is what I teach, that allows us to make money with each other without ever having to even meet each other over the pond, across the land, and on the continent. That's known as affiliate marketing, and I teach a master's class on how to do that, so that when we're economically separate from the Amu, we're spiritually, psychologically, and emotionally separated from the Amu. We come back into our original mind. We come back into our original African state. We come back into our original goddess mindset and identity, and then we literally become the walking gods and goddesses on earth. So this is the plan. This is the process, and this is what must be done. Do not go all over the cliff with the Amu. They are becoming extinct. Nature, creator, is taking care of them. This is divinity. This has nothing to do with Black people. Our job, your job, is to get the hell out of the way. Move away from them, segregate yourself from them, and treat them almost like you would treat COVID, right? Stay a 10 feet distance or more. Wash your spiritual hands with the 42 declarations and laws of Ma'at, and you're going to be fine. But when you are around them, you end up becoming sick, and you start to psychologically deteriorate, and then you internalize that psychosis, and then you start harming yourselves, numbing yourself, drinking, smoking, sexing, deading, all kinds of maladaptive behaviors, and then you start harming your people because you are around sick people. Nothing's wrong with you, family. Something is happening to you as I speak.
Wow. Nothing is wrong with you. Something is happening to you. quotation. So I hope Kofi and Sylvia, you're taking down this quotation because this is very remarkable, and we would have to know how we are going to keep in touch with this and to keep it going, because you're saying a couple of things here, and if I look back at everything that we've been questioning and asking and looking for solutions for the past times that we've been here, one thing is very certain, that what you're just saying, it is all intact with it. We have been talking about how we can feed ourselves. And we've been looking at the potential on the continent, the agriculture, which is actually the biggest market. That's where we should engage. Our young people should not be thinking on relying on the governments and the leadership. We have to go back to the farms to cultivate what we eat, because, I mean, we're even sure of that. Secondly, the next point that you touch is financial independence. And also, we've been talking about that and hammering upon that and asking questions. If we are relying on China's debt or Europe developmental program schemes, how are we going? He who gives you controls you. So we talked about that. The third point that you mentioned was we are able, the factor of number and potential amongst us. We are many to do business among ourselves. We can trade among us.
Well, that's what we did. See, it's fascinating that the internet is this concept called affiliate marketing. It's fascinating that, but it's not when you look at it from a spiritual perspective. The affiliate marketing is the same thing we did when we were bartering in the barter system, and so we had massive amounts of wealth, and we have been conditioned and trained to be codependent and dependent on that which is outside of us, as opposed to that which is inside of us. And so what we have to understand, Dr. Tata, is that when we have been conditioned to get a job, a job, just over broke, that we get a paycheck maybe every 2 weeks or once a month, depending upon your pay scale, that is not African. That is not of God. We are supposed to be used to not only earning income every day, but throughout the day. That is the natural order of nature. You want another quote? Here it comes. The African, we are the facts of nature. What happened to the Amu? They became the freaks of nature. And their violence and their terror and their savagery is justification and an understanding that we should have unequivocally nothing to do with them until they recognize the true gods and goddesses here on earth, and until they understand where they are and where they fit in the food chain.
It makes a lot of sense, and I think all of us are saying it just makes a lot of sense to understand that we've been given what, I don't know. Look at the continent and its resources. Forget about the minerals, the golds, the diamonds, because most of the time it has been put in the minds of Africans that Africa is rich, but yet the people are poor. But if we even take just the people, the resources, human capital is part of the resources. How rich are just the people? You're talking, we are loving people. Those are things no amount of money can buy. We are family people. We are people. I mean, those are the kind of wealth that it's not given anywhere on earth.
Absolutely.
Just the people business among us, loving ourselves, caring for one another, making sure that we meet our basic needs amongst us. It's already enormous wealth. Talk less of if we then need gold, then which we don't even really need until they started making us understand that a stone is precious and we kill ourselves on it.
Right. So, to your point, This is the reason why. Now, this is my belief system now. We were already moving and evolving to go back into becoming the dominant force on the planet. Evolution is very slow. So there are three types of memories: ancestral memory, genetic memory, and incarnate memory, right? So we have the ancestral realm, which is where our ancestors and the Akashic records and the law of conservation exist. We have genetic memory, which is our DNA expression transferred and transmissioned over time, historically, generationally. And then we have our incarnate memory, which is the time that we are born to the time that we die, cradle to the grave. The problem that we all have is we're trying to solve ancestral and genetic memory from an incarnate timeline and understanding. That's where we go wrong. We're not the ancient Africans recognize that we are timeless people, and as a result, the entire population built the pyramids. The entire population was at the same level of scholarship and baseline understanding. The entire population was wealthy and was able to eat and have food, water, and sun, and education, and access to healthcare, and everything that you could possibly want as a thriving society. So we knew that we were to pass on knowledge generationally. That's why it was called the griots. And so what has happened is that we come into this situation that we're in now, and we're trying to solve ancestral and genetic memorial problems in an incarnate period of time. So as a result, this is my belief system, that the creator decided and looked and said, Queen Mother, Queen Mother said, enough is enough. I am going to restore the balance, because I have given you, the Amu, many chances to correct yourself. I have given you many opportunities to do the right thing. I have given you many opportunities to atone for your greatest of all sins. And they decided to fight nature as opposed to merge with nature. As a result of that, Mother Nature said, I am then going to eviscerate you. I am going to evacuate you. And I am going to give you a virus that is going to, that none of your guns, none of your weapons of mass destruction, none of your laws, none of your policies can come close to. I am going to wipe you off. I'm going to accelerate the process of your birth dearth, which is what is known as. You're already, now here's the thing, anybody right now can Google this. Google which countries have the highest suicide rate. You will find it is Europe and Asia. So they are killing themselves, which is known as autogenocide. Now we also can go into Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's work of genetic annihilation. Now, genetic annihilation is the concept of, as she talks about, that when we copulate with the Amu, that baby that comes out then becomes black or becomes African. That is a long process. So nature has increased the speed and has moved up the timeline with COVID. And so they're having the highest level of suicide rates. They're having the highest level of COVID rates worldwide. And so this is nature restoring the balance back to the original people, to the original signal, the original vibration, the original frequency of the African. So that is what's happening. This is why we don't have to do anything. We just have to get out of the way and be prepared and have our situation in place So when they become, which they already are the minority, but when they lose power of that minority, that we then rightfully are able to step into our rightful place in inheritance. Now, this is going to happen over a arc of period of time. You and I might not see this in our lifetime, but in terms of planting and creating epigenetic tags for the next generation, it is our duty to continuously do what you do, and that is every single day bombard, saturate our senses with information. This information that you are receiving right now becomes genetic code in the body that takes care and moves out the trauma. That's why information is so important. But this is why they want you to engage in what's called displacement activity. They want you to go partying. They want you to go drinking. They want you to go buy cars. They want you to go and have sex with multiple people. They want you on the outside of your mind. They do not want you to think. They do not want you to absorb knowledge and information, because they know this is why it was illegal to even read at one point. This is why we understand that when we start taking on this knowledge, we start encoding and changing our own epigenetics and creating a new level of genetic memory. Their time is up. And God has stepped in. Amma has stepped in. Amma, Ma'at, Mama, Queen Mother has stepped in and said, enough is enough. You have done this too long. You will not self-correct, so I'm going to correct you. I should have corrected you in the ice. I tried to correct you many, many times with the plagues and wars and eviscerating your population, but you kept doing the same thing over and over again, abusing my original children, my firstborn. And so as a result, now I am going to teach you that none of your laws, none of your guns can stop Mother Nature.
I just have a question in the, I think, yeah, and someone was like, if it was necessary, it would be interesting that you address our defense. What is our defense? What is it that we should, yes, feed ourselves, yeah, be financially independent and stuff like that. But it happened. We saw the murder of George Floyd. Like you said, it's a trauma that is added.
And I believe that was the moment that Mother Nature unleashed and said enough is enough. That was that moment. It's not coincidence. It's not coincidence that we're in a situation of COVID after Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. It was a perfect storm, and Mother Nature said enough is enough. So we must protect ourselves, remove ourselves from proximity of the Amu as best you can. We have a process that was developed in our ministry by a beautiful brother named Billy Bird. We call him B-Man Billy Bird. He produced a concept called the Black Room. Now, every African should have what's called a black room. A black room. Now, remember earlier in our conversation when I first came on with you, that I talked about Amma, God, being black, dark energy, dark matter, the waters of none. In order to see light, darkness must be present first. So in
your sound is off. I can't hear you. Wow. Let me disconnect the other Facebook. Disconnect Pan-African. We're losing him, and it's not funny. Yeah, Coffee. I don't know. We just.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let me close this one out. and leave.
Let's be patient. He's going to be back. I'm not agitated any longer when these things happen. We just stay calm and it's going to take its natural turn, right? We're used to. And the more we get used to, the more we get stronger. All right.
Hold on. Let me right here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So that lets you know what's going on. So this is
Yes.
you don't know, now you know, fam. This is real. Where were we? Because that's the whole point for me to lose my train of thought, right? That was what this whole point was about.
Yeah, you were about to give us the steps, and we asked about the defense, what we should be doing, and this is what we should be doing. That's what you said,
Yeah.
And
what we should be doing. So our children and our parents should be learning affiliate marketing. Write that down. Affiliate marketing. Go on YouTube and type in how to do affiliate marketing. With my ministry, we teach the economics of how to become economically sufficient using affiliate marketing. The spiritual part, we were talking about B-Man Billy Bird. We were talking about the Black Room.
Yeah.
So the Black Room is a place where you create, you have African artifacts, you have no white images, you have no white sounds, you have nothing in there of the Amu. Everything in there should be black, black, black. Now, you can go to our Black Room, OUR, blackroom.com, and you can download Brother Billy B-Man's audio book and ebook. And for those of you who might not have a place in your home that you can convert into a Black Room, this is what I do every single day. In fact, I did it before I came on with you. I have noise canceling headphones that I put on, and I have a cushioned blindfold that I put on, and I go into the waters of none. So I have a portable Black Room. So when you go to that website or web page, you'll be able to get the same things that I personally use to have moments of blackness where I have a blackout, so I can white out the frequency of racial battle fatigue from second frequency Amu and the European, and it restores me, and it gives me the ability to fight the frequencies that are constantly assaulting and bombarding my body. So spiritually, we must go back into the Black Room to fortify ourselves. Financially, we need to learn affiliate marketing so we can become economically self-sufficient. If we do that within one generation, again, that is changing the axiology, the genetic memory, and we then are prepared to go back into our rightful state, but we'll be stronger and better. And here's why. Remember earlier, I told you, I think when you asked me, how did we get here? How did this happen? And I said, we didn't have genetic encoding. We didn't have a memory of anything like this. But guess what, Dr. Tata? Now we do.
Yes.
We will never allow this to happen again. We will never, Mother Africa, Africans will never, ever, ever allow this to happen again, because now we have a genetic encoding of trauma. You see, they are afraid of extinction. We're simply afraid of dying. It takes a different level of terror and trauma when you are afraid of becoming extinct versus being afraid of dying. When we start to understand what possible genetic annihilation, this is why they're trying to vaccinate you. This is why, what's his name? Gates is trying to, is over there experimenting and trying to stop the fertility and the birth rate of Africans. They're trying to do to us what nature did to them. And we must not allow that to happen. And so we must genetically encode ourselves with information like what you're receiving today, like what you are getting from Dr. Tata on a daily basis. You should make Dr. Tata's daily program a part of your life. Not something to do, not something entertaining, but something that you literally actually do. You must activate the information, not just look at the information and store it as entertainment. This is life work that she's doing. The experts, the mindsets, the people that she has on this program are literally the best in the best of the world. They are the leading thought leaders, change agents of our time. And so when they come on, you have to understand that that frequency, that transmission of information, which you're getting by sound, is coming into your body, and your skeletal system is like the tuning fork, and that tune plays a tune in your skeletal system that cleanses your blood, cleanses your trauma, and gives you that sense of awe. Many of you out there right now are doing two things. One, you are saying that's right, that because truth cannot be articulated, it can only be felt. The second thing that you're doing is you're just nodding your head like this, like, yes, that's right. And some of you are frozen in time because you've never heard truth like this, particularly from a theologian, but you've never heard it like this before, but you understand it because you understand exactly what I'm saying, because truth is coming to you. So when we go into our black room, and here's the reason why it's also very important to cleanse yourself with the 42 declarations of Ma'at. The sound of the Amu, second frequency, is not a natural sound in nature. Their tone, how they speak, how they talk, is not an African sound. It is not the original African Medu Neter language. And so just hearing, listening to the radio, watching a television commercial, watching a movie, and listening to them further subjugates you. It further sends a signal of subjugation and submission in you. When you start to remove yourself, move into the black room, engage in what Dr. Joy DeGruy taught me of going into what she calls a whiteout, you naturally begin, the African naturally begins to heal and returns to our natural original state. That is science. It's not self-esteem.
I want to get this right, because I think this is exactly what we were saying. We need alternatives. If they attend, I don't know, 10 commandments or prayer, a daily prayer, we need. And you're talking about the 42 decorations of the Amat. What's that?
So I will send that to you, and I want you to disseminate it throughout the diaspora. Yes. Ma'at is our original spiritual system. And so I, with my ministry, I invoke a prayer, not even a prayer. It's an affirmation of power that centers me back into my original cosmic self. So if you will allow me to say it, and I can do it in a way where I can have you do it after I say it. So I'm going to say it first, and then you can repeat it with me. I am one with first frequency. I am one with the first thought idea. I am one with the firstborn people. I am one with the only one. So repeat it with me, Dr. Tata. I am one with first frequency.
I am one with first frequency.
I am one with the first thought idea.
I'm one with the first thought idea.
I am one with the firstborn people.
I'm one with the firstborn people.
I am one with the only one.
I am one with the only one.
Ashe, and so it is. And so I go into my black room, right? I go into my black room, and I repeat that affirmation 7 times every single day for 7 days. So I repeat it every day, and sometimes even more than that. what that does, it restores you back into the center of the universe. It takes you back into the waters of none. It cleanses and starts to excavate and exercise the deep-seated, hidden, decontextualized trauma that's stored in your body. You start to feel better. You start to get healthier, but it also gives you a shield of protection, frequency and vibrationally, so that when you do have to go back out in the world, you have power within you. And this is the thing. When we enter the room, because we are melanated people, we absorb Ra. We are children of the sun. We absorb light, heat, and energy. When we enter a room and the Amu sees us, they feel an antagonistic frequency, because when we come into the room, we absorb all of the light. Because in order for light to exist, darkness, matter, melanin, carbon must be there first. You got to know who we are. You got to know who you are, family. You must know who you are.
Oh my God, this is you get into the room and they get, and now look at the opposite of our daily life situation, particularly in Europe.
Mhm.
You get into a place where you're black in school, at the campus where I was, the only black students on the campus. And later on, you go out and you feel like, oh, I'm the only one, I'm the only black, and you feel inferior, and you feel like, but you don't understand, like getting this knowledge. I'm just trying to put it in that context, like, wow,
Sure.
you exist everything there, that one pearl that
Absolutely.
shines the light. But we also understand it from the feedback of the realistic ones that would be serious. They're like, wow, you're different, or you just, there's just a magnet around that.
They have
So
never seen, they
yes,
okay, let me break it down to you like this.
yeah.
Have and I know a lot of people probably have, but have you ever seen the movie Django Unchained starring Jamie Foxx?
Django Unchained.
Okay, you haven't seen it, because if you had seen it, you would have known. So there's a scene in this movie. So let me try to come at it from a different perspective. There's a scene in the movie where Django, played by Jamie Foxx, the actor, is a freed slave, and he is a free African man for the first time, and he's wearing
Ah,
this
I know it.
beautiful royal blue suit, and he rides on this horse on the way
Yeah,
to Candyland that Leonardo DiCaprio owns,
exactly.
and all the slaves and Samuel L. Jackson plays his character named Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
They never saw a free black man. Let me tell you something. The Amu fears when they see a free black god or goddess. When they see you, they are afraid of you because they can never be you. They were denied access to your first frequency, you understand. And
Mm.
that's why Dr. Welsing, Francis Cress Welsing, calls this, it's a scientific term called reaction formation. Reaction formation is when you want something, you want to be something of someone that you can never have and you can never be. And so you vilify it, you victimize it, you terrorize it, you marginalize it, you minimize it, you level it, and you position it. And you make it as small and insignificant as possible, which is what
Oh,
they've done, so that they can feel like they matter. They can feel like they belong. They can feel like they are not a mistake of nature.
absolutely.
That's why you felt the way you felt when you were on campus.
Wow, absolutely. On the contrary, we're intimidating to them, right? And because they always insecure, and
Mhm.
we don't understand why. they would walk up to you and ask something. And why you're always like the suspect? Why, when you're somewhere, it is like something is just wrong. But then we kind of characterize it and frame it under racism. And
Right.
we feel like we are the oppressed or we are the marginalized. On the contrary, right?
Correct. On the contrary, there is, again, nothing wrong with us. We are not sick. We're sick from being around sick people. What you need to do, what we need to do collectively, as we begin bringing in this information, and this information begins being stored in our genetic memory, creating new epigenetic tags. What's going to happen is, even within your own family, you're going to begin to change. You're going to begin to shift. Because some of us have aligned with second frequency values.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are going to look at you and say, well, who do you think you are, Dr. Tata? Who do you think you're better than us? Because your frequency is raising, you are ascending back into your original consciousness. You're ascending back into, because when we came here, this entire process is to make us forget and to become slaves to the oppressor. You wake up for the first time and you start ascending, it creates a vibrational pull. It's a gravitational pull. And if somebody doesn't understand that, and they see you starting to rise in consciousness, rise in how you walk and how you carry yourself, rise in terms of your pride and how you live your life and your morality, they will try to harm you. They will try to speak down to you. They will try to make you feel small. They will try to make you feel like something is wrong with you, when it is actually them who are not frequency specific to your first frequency signal and vibration as an African goddess or an African king.
I get it. Hey, if a church would be this, anyway, because you see now, anything that we call it, you are a teacher, a reverend in the minister, a theology for Black science and people. I mean, I don't know how we're gonna get access, Reverend Phillips. I mean, what is it that
you already have the access? We're here. We're here. So you've got my websites. You can put all that stuff up, but people can go to lessonsinshock.com. Lessons in Shock, Shock, SHOCK. Shock is an acronym for Seeking Higher, Omnipotent, Conscious, Cosmic Knowledge. That's what Shock stands for. Lessons in Shock is my series that I give away to the family for free of all of the science that I have presented here today, but even more. And it's unequivocal, and it's absolutely available anywhere in the world. And so it's important for me, because I make money doing affiliate marketing. So I don't take tithing, because tithing is wrong. It's immoral. I shouldn't be riding around in fancy cars and my people can't pay their rent and eat. That's wrong. That is wrong. As a minister, we are supposed to administer to the people, where we make the people equal to the minister. If I got a Lexus, you should have a Lexus. If I got a house, you should have a house. If I got $1 million, you should have $1 million. It should not be any other way, you see. So this is why I'm teaching us what to do economically and spiritually. And this is why I give the information away for free, so we can all be on the same frequency. You heard that term before, right? Let's get all on the same frequency. Let's get all on the same page. Once we have that frequency, we are then frequency specific. So I don't even have to worry about what Dr. Tata is doing, because I know she's first frequency. I know we're frequency specific. I feel her, I know her, and I know who she is. And that's how we rise as a people and go back home. That's how we do and live Sankofa.
Affiliate marketing. How do we get access? Okay, that one is not free. We need to know how we.
Well, there's certain. I mean, first of all, there's certain knowledge of it that is free. So go on YouTube and just type in affiliate marketing. How to do affiliate marketing. Don't sign up for anything, but just watch as many videos, particularly with your children. Have your children watch at least 2 to 3 hours a day of how-to training videos on affiliate marketing. Because again, how do you encode, how do you change your genetic memory information? See, they don't want you to know this. See, most of the speakers and trainers, they want you to sign up for $80,000 program, and then we'll teach you this. Most of this information is free. Yes, I charge a fee for my one-on-one consultation because of my time, but most information is already available to you. And so you need to do that to get a basic understanding, so that when we do a class, you will come into the class with a certain level and base knowledge of information. And you know this as a doctor. This is how we teach. This is how we learn. You can't come into a PhD program without a certain level of information that you have accessed and mastered prior to coming into that program. So go online and learn affiliate marketing. You can also go to walkawaywealthsystems.com, walkawaywealthsystems, plural.com, and you can get access to my book, Digitonomics, My Process. There's a free, and honestly, if you really want to be truthful about it, and the people are really serious, my email address is revshock@gmail. Real simple. Email me, and I will send you a free webinar that I did with Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene and Goddess Imuna Yisrael. And we map out the entire process of what we call digitonomics, digital economics, and how to master and create wealth using your cell phone. Everybody has access to this. Everybody can do this. There is a learning curve, but the thing is, it's not really the learning curve. Once we usurp, excavate, and exercise our trauma out of ourselves, we are then being able to think logically and sequentially, and we will be able to incorporate what is known in Medu Neter and known in ancient Africa as Tep Heseb. Tep Heseb is the accurate reckoning by using the correct method. The Dogon, prior to the Twa, this was the scientific method that they used to build civilization. Tep Heseb is the process that built the pyramids and all of civilization. So this is already encoded in our bodies. We come here with it. We're birthed with it, because you're born a god and a goddess. Everything that you could possibly want to know is already in you because of the Akashic records and because of your frequency to the one with the one. Now you just have to reveal it by excavating the trauma out of you, engaging in your black room, repeating your affirmation of power and prosperity on a daily basis. And it's not going to make sense to you in the beginning. Neither did when you were going through your doctoral process. The information was overwhelming. It's like, oh God, I got to read all this. Oh my God. But all of a sudden, one day it clicked and you had an aha moment. That is how information is coded and stored and captured in the body. Go on YouTube, learn affiliate marketing. Watch as many videos, how-to videos as you can. Don't sign up for anything, because you don't want to end up spending something and getting something for nothing because you don't know what to do. Just go in and observe. Be in the frequency of the information, and then it will come to you as to what makes sense for you to do next. And that's how we began to grow. You have access to this information right now on your cell phone. Everybody should. There is no reason why we should not be, all of us, multi-millionaires, if not even trillionaires, because we are $1 trillion people. We are worth trillions and trillions of dollars just economically on this planet. And so when you begin to bring that frequency in and move into first frequency, you'll know. And you'll have that aha moment. I have seen this with so many of my students over time. It's when that light goes off in their eyes and they have that aha moment. And everybody is going to have that aha moment. Give me your poorest, give me your least educated, and in 1 year, that human will be completely transformed.
This is, I don't know, this is the biggest solution for Africa, for our young people on the continent. We're sitting here every day and we've been asking and we've been seeking and we've been searching, we've been praying, we've been weeping, we've been mourning. And this day of all days, this particular day and this moment, and we're just having this. I don't know how on earth. The first thing that I want to recognize, and I think all of us are on the same frequency right now. If you're not, you should be on your way to get there before the end of this show. Mm-hmm. Of course, we realize that we are not the same. We are not of the same level. But the only difference was that we are subordinate. So now we're changing the direction. We were underdogs or considered because of our trauma, like you said. And now we're switching position in that.
Correct.
Thousands of Africans die every day crossing the Mediterranean just to be here.
Yes. Yes. And all
cell phones.
Yes, and they all have cell phones. And so here's the thing. You bring up a very powerful point, Dr. Tata. So evolution is messy, right? Evolution is messy. Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene says that he's looking for 3 out of 100. Now, here is the painful truth of this. Some of us have been so traumatized that we are not able to recapitulate, that we're not able to come back from it. And so some of us are going to have to transition and maybe come back ancestrally. But many of us will. Many of us will succeed. Most of us will succeed. But we have to stop the bleeding. You know, like when you get cut or something and you're bleeding, you've got to stop the bleeding. So you got to tie it up, even though before you can get to first aid or medical care. By using your cell phone to educate yourself and reprogram yourself, you're stopping and shunting the bleeding of your oppression.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to a safe place where you can administer to yourself the information that is necessary for you to activate it, then the bleeding stops and you begin to heal. The goal of the Amu second frequency is to keep you and me in a constant state of survival.
Mm-hmm.
So that we never have a thought of how to thrive. My job, my assignment is to stop that. That is why I do what I do. And not being narcissistic, because I am you, you are me. You and I, we do a good job at what we do. The people that I'm seeing on the chat out here, they are getting the message. And it's because of you, Dr. Tata, that they are getting the message. They never would have heard of me. You did this because you've always been first frequency. You've always been a goddess. Just nobody told you. But now you know. And now you have an assignment. Your channel, everything that you have experienced, all the pain, all the hurt, all the trauma, all the disappointments, all the betrayal, all of the moral violations that you have endured to become the goddess that you are sitting here right now with me, was for you to be here right now with me. Because there's a concept. I wrote a book. I wrote 17. So I wrote a book back in 2002, my second, I think it was second or third book, called Shock Philosophy. And it's 8 principles. One of the principles is the principle of the one and the many and the master and the masses. And I got this from Dr. John F. DeMartini, great philosopher. Mm-hmm. The one breaks off and becomes the many, and the many search back for the one. You are the one. That's why they call me Metaphysical Morpheus, because I am unlocking all of the neos in the African diaspora. Right? I am freeing your mind for the first time. But we are all metaphysical Morpheuses. That's the trick. See, a lot of the theologians, the preachers and pastors, they want you to believe that I have all the answers and you don't know anything. That's a lie. You and I must know the same thing so that we rise together. And so I want you to have a big house. I want to have a big house. I want you to have the best car that you want. I want to have the best car that I want. I want you to have healthy children. I want to have healthy children. I want you to have money in your bank account. I want to have money in my bank account. We're changing the game in terms of what we're doing here. You understand what we're doing? And so when we understand the one and the many, the master and the masses, when we understand, Dr. Tata, that this is not accidental, this is not coincidental, that I am here with you today, that my client, Nyasha, shout out to goddess Nyasha, told me, I would love for you to, I have a friend, I would love for you to go on Dr. Tata's show. Look at how frequency specific this is. Look at how the universe works. Now, I already knew who you were. I was watching you with J.J. Rollins, with Professor James Smalls, Dr. Ericana Shiambori Quao. I already knew who you were. But what happened was, in that alignment, frequency creator said, the two of you must come together and become first frequency and frequency specific. And here we are. That's called cause and effect. That is also called collapsing time. Now, when you understand frequency, and I did an entire sermon on this, and this is what you can get when you go to lessonsinshock.com. It's 10 lessons that are on there. I teach the African how to collapse time because the Dogon did it. So it's already genetically encoded in us. The Amu has taught us how to separate time. You go to school, you got to go to school for 20 years, and then you go into debt, and then you got to pay that debt back, and you got to get a job, a job, just over broke, to pay that debt back. And the goal is for you to run out of time and never reach your highest level of potential. And so I don't care how old you are, I don't care what age you are, I can teach you how to buy back your time and have time freedom and how to collapse time. Why? Because it's what the original Africans did. It's what we do. It's who we are. And so this is why understanding being a god and a goddess, well, how you start to move differently on the planet as a result of that.
Wow. Yeah.
I made Dr. Tata speechless. I did it. Yay! I didn't know I could do it. I adore you. I absolutely adore you. Oh my goodness, you are amazing. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
It is the time. It's just the time because you were just spitting out some truth out there, and the like you said, the audience, the comments, and everything. We all started it together. Everything that you see today had a Dr. Tata that sat here, and they had the whole audience that you're seeing, and had a whole team of commentators, and had a you, and had a you, and had a you, whom through you we got to get all this top of top without even knowing you. You know, no, knowing the unknowing. And when I watch your interview, and you interview the father of Beyonce, that was a point when I just like, when I watched that interview about this trauma, you know, getting married into another race, and I was like, where are we on earth? I had to Google a lot to see, is this my brother? Is this my DNA?
Absolutely.
And we are here. That's just the power of the pieces of us that, you know, are metamorphosing, and the weaker species is still looking for the better half to function together. And we look at our whole continent, and we see our brothers and sisters, we see our uncles, and you all are us out here, and that brokenness in between us, like you said, they divide the time, and we have to collapse the time, and we're collapsing this bridge, and to get back our strength that you're giving to us. What can be more important? What can be more precious than this time and this moment? I'm opening up the lines because I know that part of our family, the same people on the frequency, have questions, have recommendations, have thanks. I know they're already expressing a lot of thanks out here. Yes, yes, Fatuma Hoodman said, Dr. Susan is speechless. I was speechless. You know what? The speechless came from, because you're just telling me.
I'm
haven't
just revealing the truth of you. That's all. I'm just revealing you. This is who you are. Every one of us, every African, every single African anywhere in the world right now is a god or a goddess having this horrific experience. And once you recognize that, then you rise above it. That's cause and effect. You see, you can't get rid of negativity. You can't get rid of evil. You can't get rid of positive and negative energy. They're all conserved in the Akashic records. What you do is you can rise above it so that you're not in the fluctuation, the power of that pendulum you won't feel, because you have risen above the lower frequencies that you were birthed into and that you were made to be. God made you perfect, whole, and complete. They made you a Negro or a nigger, and that is not who you are. And so we must stop referring to ourselves as such. We must let the word go. It is not a term of endearment. It is a term of terror. And every time you speak it as a self-identification, you shunt your access to your first frequency self. Gods and goddesses do not refer to themselves as niggas and Negroes, as thugs or thots, as bitches or hoes, as baby mamas or baby daddies. Gods and goddesses don't do that. They call each other by their original name. Hotep God, Hotep Goddess, how you doing, Goddess? Good to see you, Goddess. How's my little God doing? How's my little goddess doing? That is our name. Speak our name. Speak our name. Know you. Know yourself. Know who you are.
Did I get another shock again? Or another speechlessness? And I hope even you're just freezing, even the audience. Reverend Philip, what are you doing with us here today? No, who wants to call? I mean, because I myself, I don't know if I were in the audience, I would have to pick a call to ask what. We just want to enjoy you.
Oh,
Um,
sweet.
yeah,
Thank you.
take your drink. Hey, oh my goodness. Oh wow. Um, you said something that I want you, because there's some that just maybe missed the beginning, but I want you to put that fact again. How we heard ourselves, because
Yes.
we coming from that trauma. That body, why we can justify the reason why we cause ourselves pain, we fight each other, or
Yeah. So the reason that we fight each other and harm ourselves and then subsequently harm each other is because we are genetically encoded in and out of love. You know, you've heard the term God is love or Amma is love. Our original name of God is Amma, the Dogon's word for Amma, Mama, Ma'at.
Mhm.
So what happens when love turns against itself? We're not genetically encoded to hate. That's them. We're not genetically encoded. We can envy, we get jealous, but hate is not of Ma'at. And so we, and this is the reason why, albeit we are the most traumatized people, we still to this day don't do what they do. As I
Yes.
said earlier, we don't engage in genocide of taking over a continent and killing the indigenous people.
Mhm.
We don't create chattel slavery. We don't create Jim Crow laws. We don't lynch. We don't go and shoot up schools and kill children. We don't go into churches and kill the ministers and the congregants. Even to this day, there is a code that is in us that even though with all of the pain, all of the terror, and all the hurt, we don't do that. So
Mhm.
then what we do to try to blow this trauma out of our bodies, we blow it through someone else. We end up harming our own people, subsequently harming ourselves. That's what the infighting is. That's what's going on right now on the continent. On the continent, that's what's going on in South Africa. That's what's going on in Nigeria. That's what's happening right now. And so you have to understand when you look at your brother and sister, mother, father, and you see them acting up and acting out, understand that something is happening to them. Now let me give you something new that I didn't talk about earlier. Trauma takes over the body and acts like personality. So when you are traumatized, a person may say, why are you acting that way? Because it hijacks your personality like a
Mhm.
parasite takes over the body. And so over time, if you don't know that you are having a that you're a god or a goddess having a traumatic experience, that trauma starts to mimic personality. And then when you go out in the world, it starts to look like culture.
Mhm.
Did you get that? So you understand that when let me break it down to you in a different way,
Mhm.
because this is science that we're talking about. When you fall in love for the first time, you meet someone and you're going out to dinner and you're talking on the phone for hours, you're giggling and laughing and you're making love and you're having such a moment. That time is suspended. You are falling in ma'at. You are falling in love. And you are suspending during that time your trauma and his trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You are when you come together, and particularly when you copulate, you are releasing and relieving each other of your genetic trauma, decontextualized trauma, vicarious trauma, and ghosting trauma. You feel amazing. You feel restored. You get up the next day and you're skipping in the kitchen and you're making your coffee, you're singing a song and humming, and you're getting in your car and you bounce to the car and you bounce to work, and you're just ecstatic because you are falling in love. You are in the honeymoon stage. Your trauma is being temporarily suspended. The real you, the true self of you, is being seen for the first time. This is why falling in love, you must be vulnerable. That is the essence of who you are. That is your first frequency self. Until you have that first disagreement or argument. Then Dr. Tata, the original frequency of her, takes a back step, and the personality, the trauma body, the trauma personality then comes forward. And oh, shucks, we see something completely different. Now, both of you are having a trauma moment. You're trying to harm him. He's trying to harm you. And both of you are trying to remove yourself, relieve yourself of trauma. I'm going to say something so heinous and hurtful that it's going to make me feel better and stop him or her from hurting me. You're in the trauma dance. You are the original frequency of Dr. Tata is gone bye-bye. You are now in your trauma body. It has hijacked your personality. Now the children are watching this. They are getting vicarious trauma from mommy and daddy having a traumatic event with each other. So now you're encoding them with trauma. They go out into the world, you go out into the world, and now you are manifesting that trauma as culture. That is what's happening on the continent and around the world right now.
Minister, I don't know, but yes. Do you think that we have listened? I mean, you feel the frequency. How do you sense us now? At what stage can you say?
Well, here's the thing about truth, and you know how sometimes you feel. Well, we just talked about it. How you feel after you have made love and been made love to. How it feels to be seen by someone. How it feels to be emotionally available and your heart being held in someone else's hand. How does it feel when you watch a great movie or you have a phenomenal meal? How does it feel? That is how you should be feeling right now. But it should be a natural feeling that you feel all the time. Because it's your natural state and your natural self. And so this is why when I say truth recognizes itself, and sometimes you can't articulate it, as happened with you. Now, here you are, a doctor, highest level of academia, scholarship, scholastic education, and you're speechless in front of truth, as I am speechless in front of truth. I just have to sit and say, wow. I have to just nod my head. Sometimes I break down and cry. Everybody knows me in the States, I'm the crying minister. I'm always boo-hooing and crying because I'm getting so overwhelmed with emotion because I love people unconditionally. And when I feel it and I let it out. And I'm talking about, I cry like Oprah Winfrey cried back in 1986. I'm talking about that kind of cry, you know. So just let it get out, because here's the thing. One of mine, Dr. Joy Lewis, not Dr. Joy DeGruy, but Dr. Joy Lewis, she says we should cry every day because it helps release and relieve that deep-seated embedded trauma like plaque It's like a plaque that takes over and stores in the body. When we release it, we then begin to heal. Because right now we're storing it and it's killing us. And it's not natural. It's not natural. And so let it go, family. Come home. Go back to first frequency. We got this. We can do this. Know who you are. Know your name. Know your name. Start waking up. Don't even start tomorrow. No, I want you to start immediately right now. If you've got your son, Dr. Tata, when you look at your son, you say, I love you, God. When your son looks at you, say, I love you, Goddess. Start referring to your children by their true name. By their true name. I love you, Amma. I see you, Amma. How you doing, Amma? I'm good. Hey, how's my little Amma doing? Know your name. Know your frequency. Know your vibration. Speak your name. And stand tall, stand proud. Because you are God's first chosen.
Hi. Wow. I'm just trying to see, and I want you, God, to be our witness in this congregation. When are we going to have you? I just don't want to ask too much, and I hate us always saying we don't have time, because going through this precious and this one in a time moment, we must have time. Absolutely. We should have time. Absolutely. Because time is also one of those factors that steal all these values that you're talking about, because it is impossible, and we keep saying it here, why we separate in the pain. It is because it's not a part of us. When we see us tear apart, you just said, when we fuse together and when we in the stage of love, we're making love, it's just the same. But if the house is on fire and there's some quarrel for the whole week, everything is cold, food is not eaten. We talked about food yesterday. Nothing is just happening. But in a moment, everything works back. You see the heat, you see so why shouldn't we love 24/7 or 360 degrees? Absolutely. We talked about it the other day, we need to let go. And today you are confirming that. It is a wonderful honor.
Thank you. It is mine. It's truly my honor, because I absolutely adore you. I've been, like I said, I've been watching you for an entire year. You're part of my studies, and so you are me. I am you. I'm a god. You're a goddess. Everyone watching are gods and goddesses as well. This is how gods and goddesses roll. This is what we do. This is what we do. We come together so we can feed together. We're eating right now. We're spiritually having a meal right now. We're healing ourselves. We are healing our wounds and nursing and nurturing ourselves right now. We're not fighting. We're not disagreeing. We're not hating from that frequency of the Amu. All of us in this moment right now are one. And even when this is recorded, and the people who will watch it for the first time will still be frequency specific to us wherever they are, because they will recognize and know their name. They will know they are a goddess having a human experience.
Okay, even though we refuse to pick the calls, I'm really taking this one. I'm taking this one from this goddess. Hello.
Hello. Good evening, Dr. Tata.
Good evening, my friend.
Good evening to your guest as well.
Good evening.
Yeah, I joined the show a little bit late, but I heard you say something about collapsing time. And I just wondered if you had already explained what that meant already.
What was the question?
Collapsing time. She came in late and she just got that, and she doesn't know if you can just, explain that.
Sure. Absolutely. So we originally created, the Dogon created, but even the Twa and Mbuti, which was the first people on the planet that set the stage for the Dogon. We mastered heaven and earth. We mastered the sky. We mastered the earth. And we mastered it in such a way that we were able to collapse time. That is how we were able to build civilizations that cannot be an architecture that to this day can't be duplicated. It's called called quantum collapsing. You are able to collapse time because you are one with the heavens, you are one with the earth, as above, so below, as within, so without. When you have mastered astrophysics and you master microphysics, you create metaphysics. And so then you move into an area where you no longer separate yourself from the cause, the idea, the concept, and the effect, because the ancients recognized that everything and anything that they could ever ask for or want already existed. Here's the deal. You can't out-ask the creator. There is nothing you can ask the creator that is not possible. Otherwise, that thought, that idea wouldn't come to you in the first place. So what does that mean? Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman, my minister, my spiritual mother, taught me that you are the thinker who thinks the thought that makes the thing. So this, she also uses a term called substance. This substance, which is the quantum soup, which is dark matter, dark energy, the waters of none, is all unlimited possibility. Quantum physics teaches us that it's called a unified field of unlimited potentiality, meaning that whatever we want, we can manifest, and we learn how to manifest instantaneously. And so we learn how to collapse time. When the Amu came into our experience over the last 5,000 years, they have taught us how to separate ourselves from time. They have stolen our time. And as a result, we now run out of time.
Correct.
The goal of this ministry, the goal of all of us as First Frequency Gods, is to get back in synchronicity to our original cosmic time. So that when we think of an idea, we will be able to demonstrate and manifest that idea, and it won't take 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 years to do it. That is the understanding of collapsing time. Now, I did an entire, because I'm a teaching ministry, I don't stand in front of a podium and just preach. I do a PowerPoint presentation. So I have an entire 10-part series, all PowerPoint presentations. And one of them is dedicated just simply to how to collapse time, how to create intention, how to manifest our wealth, how to manifest our health, and how to do it in a way where we get it in real time in this lifetime and not have to wait. See, one of the things that Amu also did, Dr. Tata, is when I said they stole our time and it causes us to run out of time, they tried to teach us, listen to this, they literally tried to teach us that we are nothing and that we're not going to experience heaven until we die. Pardon my French, goddess, that is unequivocal bullshit. Anybody who tells you that, you need to go and leave their presence and never go back. That is a lie. The African experienced and lived heaven on earth. We did not experience hell until the Amu came out of the caves. We had no concept of hell. We had no concept of trauma until they showed up. And so why should I wait till I am 80, 90 years old, all dried up and shriveled up, and then I get the glory? No, 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 no. That is a lie. And many of the theologians, God bless them, Amma bless them, please help them wake up to understand their first frequency, because they have been captured, corralled, colonized, domesticated into this false system whereby they're teaching you that you are nothing, and they are the ones who have all the answers and connect you with God. How can you connect me with something that I already am?
I mean, wow.
Come on now.
You have to be miserable here to enjoy something somewhere.
Absolutely.
And you ask yourself, why was I even created? Just to suffer and then to enjoy something? What is the purpose? Just to bring you here? And I mean, sometimes it's like, I want to just give our sister on the continent who called from Ghana a small example of this collapse time in practice on the continent. When we live in the diaspora, our frequency is totally different. We fast forward it. I just like, we've been pushed, we like robots, and everything is fast. That's, you know, but if you go to the continent, particularly, so even some other countries like Ivory Coast, they are the slowest people I've met or studied in my life. Other continents, like, or other people on the continent, like Cameroon and the West and East, we are still rapid in a way, but Ivory Coast, they take their time to eat, to speak, to do things. Absolutely. And so you're living here and you go back, even in walking, you see that we always walking ahead of them. When I go on vacation, my family, my mother is, who is chasing you? And you get upset, like, you know, why are you slow? Yeah. And they always have time. And they always tell you, but where are you rushing to? So that collapsing time, like you're saying, it makes a lot of sense when we compare our attitude on the continent and the fact that we're always saying time is money, or, oh, I don't have time.
Right.
And my mother, who grew up in the village, never went to school. They always had time. So who is stealing our time away? Yes. I'm picking the last call, Reverend, and then we end up the show. Hello? Because this caller has just been. Please make it short.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, sister.
Good evening, sir.
Sister
yes, Efwa.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, as you can see. And you?
Oh, not so bad.
Yeah.
Not bad. You know, I want to make it short, but it's a question. Some trees and to be comment, you know.
Yes.
So my question for the gentleman is, you think that a day will come, the British people and American, they will, charge Africans to speak English because they will demand that the languages belong to them? This is my first question.
Repeat that question. I didn't understand it.
I would repeat it to you. Let it be.
Oh, okay. You understand the dialect. Okay.
The second one is why Joe Biden doesn't mention the Americans, those who them forefathers work in American, born in that American, up to today. Why he doesn't mention those people, them name for them to be a minister, and she called that Nigeria guy to be a minister. He doesn't think that a time will come, these Americans, they want to find how to go to Nigeria to embarrass Nigeria as they do to Iraq and Syria and Libya.
Okay.
You get me the point?
I get it. All right.
So I will leave you for these two questions.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for keeping it short. First question, because we're using English, that, I mean, I understand in his logic, like we should be using our dialect, like you say, you know, we have our own things. So he's saying when they broke and run out of resources or anything anytime, don't you think that there are more people would have to charge us for using their language, even though they impose it on us? That's the first question. The second question is like, he's saying, you descendants that built America, and now President-elect Joe Biden, he is nominating a Nigerian. What is the purpose of not taking an American-born who built that country and they know it? What is the essence of him? Is they not another plan or whatever like they did to the others? Why would he choose that and not a descendant who built? Yeah. So
one of the most feared deities on the planet is the African American god and the African American goddess.
Yes, I agree.
When they stole us from you, when they took us for the last 500 years, it has transformed us into gods and goddesses. They took kings and queens and we became gods and goddesses because we endured, and we didn't just survive, we literally ended up thriving, some of us. The second frequency Amu on this continent fears greatly any level of retribution from the original people, what we call Eidos, African, the original people of this continent. And so here's the sickness behind the Amu. They would prefer to work with what they call a foreigner, which is an African from Nigeria, than they would the original people, the African American.
Correct.
Now, when we talked earlier about collapsing time, we're also we should be talking about collapsing a lie. Because the African on the continent where you are right now, and the African American on this soil, and all Africans in the diaspora are one people, are first frequency people. When they invented white people between 1664 and 1681, white people is not, it was invented as a matter of law. Colonialism, Europeans, in ancient times never referred to themselves as white. White is American made. So before all of the presidents were born, before the US Constitution was written, before the first meeting of Congress, they invented white people, and they created laws known as anti-miscegenation. Those laws, most people assume those laws are to stop the mixing of race. But it's more sinister than that. There were 3 laws that came into play under that cluster of anti-miscegenation, which put the African at the bottom and made white people on top. As a result of that, they created what's known as a divide and conquer strategy. This is what is always at play. This is their key playbook. They will divide and conquer you. If I come to you, Goddess Tata,
yes,
and I'm arguing with you, and we're in a spat, we're having a disagreement, the Amu will come in and take advantage of that and divide and separate us. They'll divide the light complexion African from the dark complexion African. They will divide the male from the female. They will divide the tall from the short, and they will play upon your so-called vulnerabilities because you don't know that you are a god and a goddess, and you come in multiple forms. And that mother, queen mother yourself, is able to give birth not only to all of humanity, but every aspect of humanity. And so this divide and conquer strategy is always at play. And so when we look at the previous administration here in America versus the incoming administration here in America, it is one and the same. It's just two different slave masters with two different agendas that apply the same laws that have always been at play. So let's not get twisted. Let's not get excited. Let's not lose our minds. Yes, it has slowed down the bleeding, but it hasn't stopped it. It is up to us to save ourselves. We cannot be saved by anything outside of us, and particularly, we cannot be saved by the people who enslaved us in the first place.
Absolutely. Yep. Agreed. Agreed.
Thank you.
So I think we exhausted you. We can stay on and stay on and stay on here, but we understand the constraints that all of us are having, and particularly you taking this special moment to be with us. We would have to see how we should keep on this frequency, what kind of methods that we could collaborate together, and what are the issues that we have to keep this flame burning, because like we don't want to run out of oil.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things I want to extend to you personally is I want to teach you what I know, and what I'm also doing with Nyasha and teaching affiliate marketing. I want to teach you so then you can teach it to the continent and teach it to everyone and spread this and help them understand how to economically remove themselves from the subjugation of whiteness, white supremacy, and oppression. So I would love to work with you.
Wow.
So when we're done, I have to go to a client after I'm done, but probably tomorrow or even later today, because I don't know what time it is there. I know it's 1 p.m. here now, but I think it's pretty late there. But we'll get on the phone and talk and get our times coordinated. Yes. And then I will work with you in any way I possibly can to get you on equal footing with this first frequency in terms of spirit and in terms of economics, and then bring it back to your community, bring it back to the continent and to the family.
Wow. Now, my audience, you are aware of the fact that I have to go on a training to come and train ourselves. I mean, he just said it. So the day I said we're going on this training, don't say, hey, Susan is just coming up with another thing. I'm just joking. Thank you.
Just go back and watch the video. I said it live. I said it live on air. Okay. I am going to be working with Dr. Tata to bring her up in first frequency economically and spiritually, and she's going to come back and bring it to you. You heard it here live. Replay the recording. Rewind that. Rewind it.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Reverend. It's a wonderful pleasure to be here. And like you said, yes, go to your appointment. It's 10 p.m. or yes, almost 10 and a half here. And yeah, it's a Saturday evening. I don't mind. I will wait and will call you back. I don't go to bed that early, and particularly when it's on topics like this. But if you feel really like tired, we can do it tomorrow. We can get the call tomorrow and program. I'm on. Yes. Because that's a gift you're giving me for the continent, and who will not take that gift?
We must all be on the same frequency of knowledge and wisdom, so that we grow and rise as a people together.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you, guys.
We wish you a safe time out there. We are meeting ourselves so very soon again. One last word for the audience before you leave us.
Absolutely. Well, first, I want to send a shout out and thank Nyasha for bringing us together. Because of you, Goddess, and your first frequency, this was meant to be, and this happened today. So know your power, know your name, Goddess. Here's what I tell everyone out there that is watching right now, that whatever it is that you want to manifest in life, whatever problems, challenges that you are facing, whatever feelings you have of nothingness or vacant esteem, whatever someone has done to you, violated you, traumatized you, know that it is a lie, and know that you will not give up, and you will not shut up, and you will not let up until Amma takes you up. Ashe. And so it is.
Ashe. Thank you very much. Thank you, Reverend. You have heard it. You've had the revelation. You've had the blessings. You've had everything. Thank you, live and direct from the God. Thank you so very much. We wish you a nice time out there. We'll stay connected, and we see ourselves very soon. Thank you, Reverend. So, good. I want to thank all of us that have been here. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful moment. We were just talking about this topic of this is the end of the season. We need to let go everything. We need to come back. We need to breach our love. We need to make it so, so strong, because we know that is the one thing. And now I'm very happy that a God sent or a God met the goddess and the gods and the queens and the kings and the princesses. And the message is on time, on point, and we didn't miss a point. There is nothing that we do here on our own mission. We just been called. Each and every one is a part. Like I said, it's not me that I'm here and then all of us. It was just like, I have to be here so that you come. And I'm also here because I know that you would come. If I know that I wouldn't have any audience, I wouldn't be sitting here. And I wouldn't even be given a message. So I really want to appreciate us that it is a collective. Just saying that again. Tomorrow we're going to get another big shot. We're going to get another big one. You know about Baba Baruti? He's going to be here. We've had him on the list, waiting for him to just confirm for more than 4 months. And finally, he had chosen this date to be with us tomorrow. So please, it's another one. It's also on the same team with Reverend Philip, all this context and everything. So people that we say, he said, we're going to meet the best of the best on the continent. The best of the best is all of us, all our scholars that have put in their time, research, knowledge. And we are going and paying monies and getting some kind of certificates and poison and toxics into our system, thinking that we're learning. Knowing that is not yours can give you life. Now we're seeing it, that because our people, the love for people can only give us the best. So I want to thank you for sharing this wonderful time. If I forgot something, you did not forget it. You didn't forget the principles. You didn't forget the 42 decorations. You didn't forget to know that we have, he's still going to send it to me on text, what we need to say morning, afternoon, evening. I really want to thank some of the comments that you dropped in here, and I could pick up the words and I asked him. And that's how we roll on the Pan-African Daily TV. We don't have a teleprompter like the others do or journalists do. They have points, they write. You see, it's just as it is. We don't even talk with the guest what we are going to discuss here. That is the most powerful thing that can exist anywhere. Everything that happens here is just as natural as you know it, as organic. What we do is we do the sound check. I will take a minute, a day, one day, and we see how we do in the backstage. What am I saying? We are not the mainstream. I would send some questions and you have to prepare your mind, or he sends his biography and I have to look. No, you even come in sometimes and you say, what is the topic? Who is talking? Because we need to find out who is who. Nobody's going to fashion something and give to us like they've always done. The knowledge is available. We have mouth. We are connected people. We are people. So we don't just enter into a room and sit and want to just hear. You see everybody asking like, but who is here? What is he talking about? And I see everyone responding on the continent, on the comments. No, we were saying this, or and we would always have our brother Kofi always trying to, get us out of stress with his own unique way. And we would see, Queen Silver or Goddess Queen Silver always say, hey, Kofi, pay attention. Koboko Sauce is reminding us, what else do we actually need? One thing I want to leave us from these lectures of today is what we've been dying for. What are we here for? We say we want to make a better living for ourselves, but we want it as a collective. That is why we keep looking for solutions for our people on the continent, our young people, the conflicts, the everything. We are not sitting here on the Pan-African Daily TV and asking or doing seminars or something so we can make money to get rich ourselves. That is what makes us so unique and so different. That spirit, that power of collectiveness. He just said it in a bundle. If I'm a millionaire, I want you to be. If I want a big house, you should have a big house. If I want, wow, where have you ever seen this from a reverend in a ministry? Preaching, no, teaching. Where on earth? How are we going to multiply him and just do pastors conference and leadership conference and just get him and sit there and let him just, I don't know, put that frequency on them? Thank you. You are a witness. You can share that further and we will take it going. So tomorrow, let's make it a day with Baba Baruti, one of the biggest ones out there. And I wish you all the best of love. Please make sure you, if you are not in love, fall in love this season. Don't tell me there's no excuse. No excuse. If you even were thinking about some kind of breaks or this or misunderstand, please, I'll fix it tonight. Be on the same frequency. Enjoy those moments that you used to enjoy. Put the smile and the food tastes good and everyone is happy and we are fine. Okay, do it tonight and thank us tomorrow. Okay, so we see ourselves tomorrow, same time. Bye-bye. All my love to all of you. Okay, bye. Good night.